Alright, it's been a minute since I got a video out to y'all, but good to see y'all. How's everybody going? It's gonna be a quick little word, but just want to share a quick little story with you guys. So, like probably a month ago, me and my whole family we went to Hawaii, like a little Hawaii vacation trip, fun little time. And I think on the way there, I can't remember if it was on the way there or on the way back, but I was watching this movie I had never seen, or it was a series. It was basically like a mafia series, and so so I ended up playing this show, right? Putting this show on. It's like I had never seen it before. First episode, and so what happened? It's a father and a son, and they're like running this Russian mafia drug organization kind of thing, mafia organization, and they have like 4 or 5 different groups under them, but they're the main head. The father and the son are the main head. So the son, he ends up talking to like the 4 or 5 heads of the organizations who are underneath them, right? And during this meeting, it's kind of like heated, and they're kind of like bucking up at him. They're kind of like, getting big, but they're under the son. So, the son, he goes back to the father and tells the father everything that happened at the meeting. And the father has some words. He said, when trees get too big, too tall, it's time for them to get pruned, because they're bucked back. They think that they know everything, so that's the time to prune them when they get too tall. And it spoke to me in more ways than one. Number one, it spoke to me how God can literally speak to you in any scenario, any show, any movie, anybody. He can use anything to speak to you, because he's created everything down here. So every single thing, if you're really in tune and in line with how he speaks to you, and just in all the ways that he speaks and how he does speak, by being in your word and reading your word, then you can understand like the different ways that he speaks in different ways. So I mean, that I only watched 5 minutes of that show, but it was just powerful because it just reminded me of Nebuchadnezzar. The whole story I mentioned in the last video, in Daniel chapter, was it 4? I'll get that in a minute. But it just reminds me of how Nebuchadnezzar, that was the dream that he had, and Daniel interpreted that dream as saying that exact thing, that if you don't turn your ways, because the tree is you, the Babylonian, this is your empire. It came all the way up to the heavens, and if you don't turn your ways and get back right, humble yourself, and this will happen. It was a warning dream that God gave Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel interpreted that dream, but that dream was the tree reaching the top of the heavens. It's just funny how, I wasn't expecting to hear that from a mafia show. Within the first 5 minutes of the show, this is what they were talking about, and it spoke to me then. And I had just read Nebuchadnezzar probably a week or two before that. So, I got he humbles the proud. That was my message of my revelation of what I got from Daniel, from that chapter. But then, he ended up showing me another revelation, and something that I wasn't expecting, but I was still in tune and listening and seeking him. So I just, I was playing like, I was listening to my gospel music. I had on and then lately I've been listening to like Bible verses when I take a nap or go to sleep or do anything. And this was like a 10 hour flight. This was a long flight. So, Hawaii's all the way across the country. So I was listening to my Bible scriptures, and then I said, while I'm eating the food that they have, let me check out this show. So I wanted to put on something that was kind of like actiony. I like action movies. So I put the movie on. And then next thing I know, this is how the scene starts off. The son is talking to the 5 different bosses, and they're all kind of like thinking they know everything, getting puffed up and proud of themselves. Basically, that's why the father relayed that message to the son about trees getting too big, too tall, too big-headed. That's the time to prune them. That's the time to prune them. So it's just It's amazing how God speaks in all these different ways. I mean, shows, movies, through people. But if you're not in the Word, if you're not really seeking Him every single day, if you're not really making sure those muscles, it's the same, it's like a muscle. You don't work out and expect, if you don't go to the gym, don't expect that muscle to be worked on. It's the same with your muscles of hearing God and obeying Him. Like, the more you really are in the Word, the more you be able to hear Him out, His spoken word, His vocal word. The more you'll be able to hear that. But if you're not in the Word, you're never gonna be able to understand and interpret how He speaks. He's always speaking, but you will just miss it. It'll just be like you see something on the road, or something on the road passes you, but if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. You won't find it. It will just pass right by you. So I'm gonna pull up that Daniel verse again, and I guess that's the second time we've kind of gone over this Daniel verse. But it's a powerful verse, because powerful chapter. Daniel's just a powerful book in itself. But this Daniel, it's just spoken to me and resonated with me recently within the last couple months. So I wanted to share this message with you guys again. Let me pull it up. It was Daniel chapter 4. And I'm going to read just the whole passage in itself. Daniel chapter 4, and this is the New Living Translation. Nebuchadnezzar's dream about a tree. King Nebuchadnezzar sent this message to the people of every race and nation and language throughout the world. Peace and prosperity to you. I want you all to know about the miraculous signs and wonders the Most High God has performed for me. How great are His signs, how powerful His wonders. His kingdom will last forever, His rule through all generations. Then, this is in Daniel chapter 4, verse 4. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was living in my palace in comfort and prosperity, but one night I had a dream that frightened me. I saw visions that terrified me as I lay in my bed. So I issued an order calling in all the wise men of Babylon, so they could tell me what my dream meant. When all the magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and fortune tellers came in, I told them the dream, but they could not tell me what it meant. At last, Daniel came in before me, and I told him the dream. He was named Belshazzar, after my God, and the spirit of the holy gods is in him. I said to him, Belshazzar, chief of the musicians, I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in you, and that no mystery is too great for you to solve. Now tell me what my dream means. Then here's him explaining the dream right here. While I was lying in my bed, this is what I dreamed. I saw a large tree in the middle of the earth. The tree grew very tall and strong, reaching high into the heavens for all the world to see. It had fresh green leaves, and it was loaded with fruit for all to eat. Wild animals lived in its shade, and birds nested in its branches. All the world was fed from this tree. Then as I lay there, dreaming, I saw a messenger, a holy one, coming down from heaven. The messenger shouted, "Cut down the tree and loop off its branches." Cut down the tree. You heard that? He said, cut down the tree and loop off its branches. That's just what the guy said in the Mafia movie. He said, you gotta, once it gets too tall, you can hear what he's saying. Everything originates from the Bible. I mean, it's just a biblical principle. Once it gets too tall, a lot of times people get big-headed, puffed up, and they think they can do it on their own. Once things have been going good for a while, and they think that everything's going smoothly, and it's been 5, 6, 7, 8 years at a job, they think it's because of them. It's because of their skills that they have. That's what a lot of times people think. But truth be told, it's because God allowed you to have this position. He allowed you to have these skills. He allowed you to get in this position, to this point in life, to where you can glorify His name. But if you're not really doing that, He can do exactly what He did to Nebuchadnezzar. So here he goes. Shake off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Chase the wild animals from its shade and the birds from its branches. But leave the stump and the roots in the ground. bound with a band of iron and bronze, and surrounded by tender grass. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him live with the wild animals among the plants of the field. For 7 periods of time, let him have the mind of a wild animal. We talked about this in the last video, how he gave Nebuchadnezzar the mind of a wild animal, and he ended up living among living like a cow, eating grass for 7 years. He was doing that instead of the mind of a human. Now this is verse 17. For this has been decreed by the messengers. It is commanded by the holy ones, so that everyone may know that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world. And he gives them to anyone he chooses. See, that's what the word says. This is what Daniel chapter 4 verse 17. He said he gives them to anyone he chooses, even the lowliest of people. Belshazzar, this is 18. That was the dream that I, King Nebuchadnezzar, had. Now tell me what it means, for none of the wise men of my kingdom can do so, but you can tell me, because the spirit of the holy gods is in you. And Daniel explains the dream. This is verse 19. Daniel is explaining the dream. Upon hearing this, Daniel, as also known as Belshazzar, or Belshazzar, I don't know how to pronounce that name, was overcome for a time, frightened by the meaning of the dream. Then the king said to him, Belshazzar, don't be alarmed by the dream and what it means. Belshazzar replied, this is Daniel replying, I wish the events foreshadowed in this dream would happen to your enemies, my lord, because this is a warning dream. God is warning Nebuchadnezzar what's about to happen if he doesn't turn his ways. And this is Daniel about to explain that. He said, my lord, and not to you. The tree you saw was growing very tall and strong, reaching high into the heavens for all the world to see. It had fresh green leaves and was loaded with fruit for all to eat. Wild animals lived in its shade, and birds nested in its branches. That tree, your majesty, is you. For you have grown strong and great. Your greatness reaches up to heaven, and your rule to the ends of the earth. Then you saw a messenger, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, cut down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump and the roots in the ground, bound with a band of iron and bronze and surrounded by tender grass. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven. Let him live with the animals of the field for 7 periods of time. This is what the dream means, your majesty, and what the Most High has declared will happen to my lord the king. You will be driven from human society, and you will live in the fields with the wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow, and you will be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 periods of time, that's 7 years, will pass while you live this way, until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. But the stump and roots of the tree were left in the ground. This means that you will receive your kingdom back again when you have learned that heaven rules. That's all. This video gotten long. I don't want to keep y'all too much, but basically the moral of the story, there's a lot of morals in this story. I mean, you can really learn dream interpretation from that. From Daniel, really, he interprets dreams all the time, but you can learn dream interpretation right there. It's a symbolism. God speaks in riddles, symbols, symbolism. So when you have a dream, to interpret that dream, you got to really know what those mean by reading the word. Jesus spoke in parables. That's why he said, these secrets are unlocked to the kingdom, those who are in the kingdom. But for those who are not, you will never be able to interpret what God is saying, what Jesus is saying, what it means. He's always saying a lot, but every single thing that he says is multi-layered. You got to look deep into what he's saying, find it, and understand, seeking the word. But that's one thing that he was saying. So when I was watching that show, it just like resonated with me. And this was in the first 5 minutes of the first episode, first season. I don't even remember how many episodes it was. I had never seen it before. And you know how when you're on like a flight, I usually don't like flights. This was like my second time taking a flight in my life. And the first time I was like probably 10, 9, 10, 11. I was young, so this was like a while ago. And so that was the second time I've taken a flight in over 10 years. So that flight right there, when I watched this show, I had never seen it before. Can't even remember what it was. But, I had been seeking the Lord and really meditating on his word and really, truly hearing him. So it was just easy for me to get that revelation of what he meant. And it was a funny thing that, he had, that show. I ended up clicking on this show, and something just drew me to drawing and typing in on the show and just clicking in. Man, I like mafia movies. Let's just see what it's talking about. And then I just ended up, the first 5 minutes, it kind of drew my attention because they, start off bang bang, and then it's like a meeting, boardroom meeting with the higher ups in the mafia and the organization, and they're trying to just discuss things. That drew my attention. But then when the father and the son were talking, that's another thing in itself. The father giving the son advice. The son went back to the father to get what he wanted, to ask what he should do in this situation, in this circumstance, in this scenario about the people getting puffed up. The son went back to the father and asked him. Then the father told the son the advice. He said, the trees, when they get too big, it's time for pruning. Just like what God showed Nebuchadnezzar in his dream, when the messenger came and shouted to him, the tree's too big. He said, it's time to cut off the trees, cut off the branches. I'm going to say what he said. Cut down the tree and destroy it, is what he said. That's a principle. So, I'm just leaving that with y'all. Daniel chapter 4. Daniel's a good, really book all around. But Daniel chapter 4, I don't know why it's starting to become one of my favorite verses. So, good talking to y'all. And I'm gonna try to get back into making some videos, at least two to three videos a month. I almost said a week, but let's start off with a month. And then that way we can work up and down from that way. But hope y'all had a great 4th of July, great holidays. The second half of the year is kicking off, so it's gonna be a good time. And I see the Lord moving in a lot of people's, in a lot of ways. He's gonna be moving. So, it's the perfect time to really get right with him. I mean, this is the perfect time. You don't want to wait till it's too late. You don't want to wait till things fall down, until he prunes you, until he cuts you down. He's always going to be pruning, but you don't want to wait until something drastic or tragic happens for you to try to turn your life toward him. You want to do it while you're already in a good space, because he'll do it either way. But the more you give him the glory, give him the praise, give him the honor, the better your life will be. Y'all have a good one.